What I'm going to do is something that the American networks will not do, and that is call states before the close of polls. As I was explaining there, there's like 5 to 6 hours difference across the country. And you have to remember in the United States, they hold all elections on the same day. So they will not call the presidential election until after the polls close in California, which is at 3 p.m. this afternoon, our time. They will not, because if you call the presidential election too early, it affects turnout on the West Coast. And if you're affecting turnout on the West Coast, you're affecting the presidential election, you're affecting the election for the Senate and the House, you're electing the gubernatorial races, the state Congress races, the local government races, the referendum races. So for that reason, the Americans are very cautious about calling it ahead. But you can call it ahead if you know the numbers. I remember, we've been doing this since 2012. In 2008, I remember watching the American election from Auckland for complex reasons, but I was covering the New Zealand election. I should explain that. I was covering the New Zealand election, and it was clear the minute they gave away Ohio that Obama had won, but they could not call the election because they still had to wait for 3 hours for California to close. So look, what we're going to do is this. We are giving away a whole series of states. We are saying at the moment, our starting point is Joe Biden's 190 and Donald Trump is 77. We've given California, Oregon and Washington 78 votes to the Democrats. They are not in play. New York, 29 electoral college votes is not in play. Most of the Northeast is not in play. Illinois, not in play. So that gets Joe Biden to 190. It doesn't mean we're saying he's closer to victory. To get to 270, you still have to flip those states. If he doesn't flip those states, he doesn't go beyond 190. So that's our starting point. Now, Donald Trump's number there is low. And the reason for that is, at the last election, Hillary Clinton got millions more votes, but she wasted those votes in places like California and New York. Donald Trump won states like Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania by a hair's breadth. So he got his votes in the more important states. But the polls for the Republicans have dropped since then. We've given away every state with an average vote above 10%, a gap between the two. And where this is the pattern from the past. Now, I think Donald Trump will win more of the states. He just hasn't met that 10% criteria. I think he'll win Montana. I think he'll win, let me give it to the, there we go. It's playing up now ever since Chaz touched it. Right. It's all Chaz's fault. All right. No, it's just not going to happen for me. I think there's a series of these states which will work. I'll have to do this. That's now, remember. I have to do this to make it work. Thankfully, someone just told me that in my ear. If I give Montana to the Republicans, and Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, and South Carolina, Donald Trump is up to 111. That's probably a more realistic position for him as a starting point. But as I said, it hasn't met that 10% criteria at the moment. But as far as we're concerned, we're starting with 190 to 77. But it still may be many hours before we call the election because it comes down to those key states. So that's our starting position. This is not what the American networks do, but we're not interfering with turnout on the west coast of America from Sydney. So that's what I'll say, but that's our starting point. And that's as the polls close in each of the states, and we call some of those states, because in America, they call many of the states on exit polls once the polls close in that state. We will fill in this map, but I still suspect it'll be several hours before those key states are determined.